Okay, maybe that's a little bit too big. Anyway, that's a big sound, isn't it? And we're not apologizing. Hello, live stream time. I feel the power. Oh, where'd it go? I haven't looped these yet, so they die. It's this beautiful. The heavens. I see God. And it goes away. Hi, welcome. Welcome to a live stream. I think I figured out all of my bad issues that were making it a little challenging. And I think it's working. So let's see here. Let's see. Close. And hello, everybody. Welcome. My name's John Limcool. This is our weekly get-together, hangout, play, find new things to do, explore sound. This week, we're going to make some sounds because I'm working on a new library. Let's do this. Let me get to the website because there's a cool thing I want to show you that's going on. Let's go over here and log out so that I am not there. So this weekend, I have a little sale. If you want to get anything other than the 6 lessons, video tutorials, or UniFi, those two objects are those two products, objects, kids, whatever you want to call them. We have multiple cameras and no room echo. Yes. I have all sorts of stuff to show you. There's a promo code and it's save. I think I'm so horrible with my memory. I'm sorry. Let me check my email that I sent out to everybody just to make sure I tell you the right promo code. Save $20. Thank you. Small caps. No anything special. Just I'll type it in the chat. Save $20. Thank you. If you put that in to the checkout page when you get a product, let's go over here and let's buy something ourselves. Let's see. I want to get. I've heard really great things about this chill guitar library. So if we go to checkout, and right here, if we go enter our promo code of save $20, thank you, and apply. Boom, $20 comes right off the top of the ticket. For whatever is in the cart, you can use it more than once. So if you want to add a couple products, a couple libraries, do them one at a time if you want, just as a clue, as a way to game the system. I'm allowing you to do that. So do that if you wish. And I thank you to everybody that takes advantage during the weekend. If you want to get some additional libraries, there's over 100 to choose from. Lots of good stuff going on. So I am getting pretty cozy in my new house here in where am I? Eagle, Idaho. I can't do more than one thing at once. I want to send you a couple pictures to share that I took that I haven't transferred to my computer yet. So we're going to come over here and go select. Boom, 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 boom. And go like that and say yes. Send those to the studio. As you can see, the new library I'm working on, it's kind of cool. It's nice to feel all charged. And since I'm feeling charged and I have a big birthday coming up in 8 days, I decided I was just going to go for stuff that I love to do. And I love to make big sounds. I'd love to make just big things that take up all the sonic space. Don't share anything with anybody else. I don't care. But you can work with them and you can do cool things with those. So I have a library in the works called Behemoth. This is a series of the cutting edge. Cutting edge has synth bass, which has all these really, really cool big basses of this type, of this. It's got all sorts of cool Razers and sexy boys and fancy for impacting kind of basses. Magic Motion came out, I think at the end of last year. I love this library. This is one of my favorite libraries I have ever done. This has things like these really cool sparse wind chimes that you just play chords. And then they just are going to slowly play. And then I use that concept to record all sorts of different things and make all sorts of really cool things that are like kind of the opposite of Behemoth. Although these are really cool little elements you can combine with other things to get cool stuff going on. Cool metallic related, rhythmic, there's a lot of BPM patches. Stuff like this, right? So I love how that came out. It was really, really fun to experiment with trying to be sparse and not give space a chance to breathe, you know? And so there's a lot of that kind of approach to Magic Motion. Behemoth is kind of the opposite. We're taking all of the oxygen out of the room. We don't really care. We're just going for... Because a lot of songs, if you listen, there's a signature grab your attention sound that is used, and then pretty soon the voice comes in and it gets softer in the mix and they filter it and then it becomes, you know, whatever it is. But there's... So, these are huge. Huge and unique attack are kind of the two things I'm... Big stuff like that. A cool, nice... This is like 16 oscillators. Just... I love that kind of bass sound. Nail gun. Because these kind of sounds, if you can turn them into something like this, just change the effects a little bit. Let's go over here, go reverb. Let's add Zenverb, which is really cool. It's got two different reverbs actually, so you can control the high frequency reverb. Let's have the high frequency reverb ring out forever. Let's choose the frequency range of that reverb. Let's have it just ring out forever. And then the lower frequency we're gonna have down a little bit because I just want it to be high sizzle. And then if you want to get it even more obscene, you could like put like water verb after this to let it just echo forever. Say like 97. You know, this kind of cool. All that kind of stuff. Here's phase poison. You guys hear everything, right? I want to make sure sound's coming through and sounding all right and stuff like that. It's nice to have a coffee shop like 5 minutes away. When is Behemoth coming out? Probably after my birthday's on the 16th. I don't think I'm going to make the 16th in reality. It'll probably be like the 21st or so. It'll be before the end of June is up. It will be out so that it gets better. It gets, I promise you, look at this list. I have more stuff to show you and it gets better. Okay, so let's keep going. Razer cuts. It's called that because I'm using about 8 Razers. And of course, if you layer these, it gets even more obscene. So we put 60 volt, and let's put a little bit of phase poison into this, and it's lovely. I love this kind of stuff. Razer cut Scar Ripper. That sounds painful. It is. Ow! By the way, if you don't have Razer, this is another one using Razer. So is this one. More wallet libraries my wallet can't afford. I make my libraries far more affordable than most people on the internet for what you get. That's why I have a lot of happy customers. Native Instruments has a thing going on. I believe it's still going on. Let's take a look, shall we? If you scroll down here, look at $19. Yeah, go away. If you go over here, Razer is $19. It's truly one of my favorite synthesizers. It has a sound like no other synthesizer on the planet still. Some synths are getting into that kind of this technique and so forth, but you can get the free Reactor player that will let you load these up. So you go to Native Instruments. Where's Reactor? Reactor. I've got 6. I think they're at Reactor 7 now or something like that. You don't have to have the latest version. And go to Razer and the UniFi library version of the Ensemble. I think I have. How did I get my patches in here? Let's go to files. I'm not going to be able to show you my libraries now, right? I'm not going to try to figure this out on the stream to get it working, but the sound of Razer is, there's just nothing else that sounds. When you go over here, you have all of these different types. Such cool sounds. These kind of cool. I mean, the things it is doing, it's 512 sine waves. And the effects are super cool. It has this reverb, which is actually like built into it. I mean, it can go Behemoth all by itself. It has this thing called safe bass, which if you turn off, it's still huge, but this bass is a separate sine wave, which can make it even more focused and solid. It's just, it's one of my favorite synths. I wish there was a hardware version of it to play with. So that was used to sample some of these types of sounds. Hero is cool. There's a handful of patches. I'm going to make a couple more. The one we make today will probably be like this. Some of these I'm doing kind of like some of the Mega Magic Pads Volume 2, where I make a full mix of something. Right? Now, what did I use to make this? You hear all sorts of cool motion and stuff. Layer 1. That's from Zebra 2. This is also from Zebra 2. I love this. Then layer 3, we get a little weird. I have a fluty type of a patch, and I have a CS80 with portamento. So you have all this cool motion. And then we have the ginormous. And if I come over here and if I say instrument 1 only, I can click layer 3, 2, 1. And now I have the equivalent as the full mix, but now it's 4 layers. I'm gonna have to turn this down because it's gonna be gargantuan in sound. And because it's separated out, I could take this, let's see, let's find the motion layer. That's number 3, right? Which is right here. And let's say I want to emphasize the high end a little bit. I could go over here to EQ, Flex EQ. Emphasize that high end so it sticks out a little bit more in the mix. Right? So I'm not doing this to all of these. Some of these I have some secret personal things I don't want to really share in the same way as how I'm doing these, but in some of these I want to give you the elements to be more flexible at the same time too. So for Hero, you have the full mix, and then you have 4 layers of elements to create and play with that create what you hear as the final mix. New string pad. And this is one that I designed so that when it's filtered, it becomes really, really nice for nice, like big filter growing things and stuff like that. So let's set this like this and like this. And all that kind of stuff. Let's make this 36 dB and even darker to start, and then so having all that energy in the samples allows you to create all sorts of really cool dark sounds, because I focused on making sure the fundamental was there. So as you go cool places with it. Orchestral Epic. This is like 30 layers or something. It was crazy. I have some sample cleaning to do up there. Just for that kind of a vibe. Swarmus is kind of cool. This is one where there's a really cool kind of does this really cool growing thing. So this has a big sawtooth. That's 8 layers by itself of sawtooths. And then there's another layer of big but solid, and then it fades out. And as it fades out, layer 3 is growing up. You know, it's got this kind of cool, we'll say goodbye to the artwork. Now, let me see if I get Logic back. So you got the, there we go. And then layer 4 is that really cool noise. Bazooka. This is lots of sawtooth waveforms. That kind of thing. The distorted tries is cool. There's the squares. Then we have some beefy brass. I did these last night. They came out really cool. This is the velocity switching version. Kind of thing. You have the soft. Sounds like samples. There's no samples in it. And then super wet for the cinematic stuff. The reverb is in the samples. Mass spiked brass. I made this for Jordan Rudas, my dear brother. He loves really fast things with cool attacks, so he can play all those fast things. And Max Moog. And then I made one combi so far, just combining some of these elements to see where we could go. And it's really nice. And once again, they stop because they're not looped yet. So that's the library in its current working form. I don't share those often, but it's like, why not show what we're doing? So the question to you guys, yeah, I know Sam Ash is closing. It's sad. We live in a world where, you know, I'm guilty as anybody. I place an order and 3 days later, these curtains show up for me to use instead of having to go to a store and search and hope that somebody in this, you can find something you want online, order it, you'll save money, get free shipping. It makes it really hard for stores to compete. Just got, which plugin Razer Bank? Which Razer Bank? You know, do I have them in here? I think I do. The first one that I did was Evil Razer, and I'm kind of partial to it. I mean, they're all really fun libraries in their ways. I mean, just to look at this waveform and see what it's doing to do this is crazy. Isn't that cool? Sploogie. So it does all sorts of really cool sounds. You know, it just depends on what you're going for. Razer Chill was really fun to do more normal kind of sounds, but still having that unique character of Razer. It's just hiding right under the mod wheel in some cases. Like, you know, I mean, just that kind of stuff. There's definitely bells and things in Razer Chill. And Rotten Razer was the in-between child, so it has all sorts of stuff. It gets into really cool things. A lot of BPM. I don't know, more BPM heavy. You know, stuff like that. An Evil Cauldron. I mean, it's sick. So, you know. No, Razer by itself is not multi-timbral, but in UniFi it is, of course. In UniFi, I could just set this to loading instrument one only, and I could, let's have Evil Cauldron, which is a quarter note. Let's have a Filthy Pulse 16 join. So it's crazy. So yeah, there's a lot of BPM. I went kind of crazy on the BPM side of things with Rotten Razer as a variation from the Cinema Tempest is really cool for the Always Awake for kind of a cool little rhythmic kind of. I've heard some really cool dance tracks with a lot of these patches. One guy I saw live, I can't remember his name, this really tall 7-foot guy that wore like he had a whole head covering with glowing eyes. He's from France. Just crazy stuff. I mean, F-bomb. You know, no apologies. I mean, crazy stuff. So really, really fun stuff. Hi, Tom Servo. Is UniFi multi-timbral? Yes, UniFi is multi-timbral in that each layer can be set to its own MIDI channels. Let me show you some examples. I'll give you a quick dog and pony show. UniFi is our plugin that we love and we've made all these libraries for. It's a combination of a host and then it goes into like out there territory. You can load all of your plugins, all VST3, VST2 audio units into it. You can load them just one at a time, or you can have it scan so that you have access to them. There's up to 24 layers in one UniFi patch. So you can start with something like a BPM pad like this. And then I could say set to UniFi layers. So anything I add, I could say lemon shaker eighth notes, and now, and it's playing the drums by keyboard. So you actually want to go to MIDI box, play the note you want for the shakers, and then turn off this note to course option. And now you have, and if I wanted this shaker to be on a different MIDI channel, I could just go here and say change the input to MIDI channel 2. And now it's on a different MIDI channel. And so because we have so many layers, the way I think of UniFi is I'm able to do synthesis where I am treating a synthesizer as an oscillator. So instead of building a patch where you have a synth and you have to deal with 4 oscillators of the same engines and the same note polyphony sharing and everything. In UniFi, every layer can be a complete synthesizer with its own effects, its own voices, separate from everybody else. And so it gets really, really powerful really quickly. If we go down here, let's choose a pad from here, say like Sonatarium. And I could go to any other library, and we've unified over 100 plugins. So I could go to, let's go to Spitfire. This is Uhi's Zebra 2. I could go to pad. I could say right click and load this as a new UniFi layer. And so now I have a UniFi patch and I have a UniFi layer, which is calling up Zebra 2 with Howard's really, really cool Nordic horns. And of course, I want to take this down an octave, and I'm going to bring up the auxiliary effects. So it fits the vibe more. And maybe the first sound's too bright. I think I have some macro knobs over here for the filter. And then I can go to any other library. I could go to the DCO 106 and find a pad. Here's a cool pad that I made as a bonus pad. Say load that. So now I have DC 106, Zebra 2, and a patch from UniFi. Let me make something that I could save as its own UniFi patch that I could then load in as a separate layer in the future. I mean, it gets crazy, crazy, crazy what we can do. One more thing I'll show you, then I'm going to go back to Behemoth. If you go to the factory library, and there's a free demo of UniFi you can try. If you type WS, I made a whole bunch. I worked for Korg since the 80s as a sound designer, making the wave station and the wave state and all that kind of stuff. And part of they used something like 3 gigabytes of samples that I've created for my libraries in wave state. There's a plugin guru folder. Part of the deal was I could use wave sequencing in my UniFi tech instead of trying to come up with a whole new name for it. So what this allows me to do is play. And this is a situation where we have MIDI box going into polybox, and each note played gets transferred to a different MIDI channel. So inside of this UniFi layer right here, there are, I believe, 12 layers that are playing, and each time a timing event from MIDI box, which is a MIDI file, comes in, it transfers it to the next layer. And any of these layers could be any plugin of any synthesizer I own. So I can do things with my synthesizers that you can't do anywhere else. I'm sad to see, you know, so many companies have all these plugins and they make something that lets you play with their plugins, but it's a lot of tech support. We've been at this for 4 years. There's a lot of work involved in getting all the other plugins to play nice together. So I understand why people don't do it, but we've done it. So you can play with all of your plugins in really cool ways. There's a lot of options. Yes. So and it's also, yeah, that's another point, is each thing can be a CPU thread. So if you're using Omnisphere or you're using really big complex patches that are taking up a whole CPU just for that one patch with effects and synthesis going on, each layer in UniFi is treated to, it goes to a separate thread on your computer processors so that it truly optimally uses your computer automatically under the hood. We can actually, if you're a big Omnisphere user, Omnisphere multi that's got, like, say 6 sounds, you can get probably 40% more notes of polyphony if you put those 6 sounds on 6 separate Omnispheres on 6 different layers, because that way each one has its own CPU thread versus where they all have to be fighting to take up the oxygen of one CPU thread if you don't, because Omnisphere currently, someday they've talked about wanting to do multi-core, but they haven't done it yet. So anyway, Omnisphere is a super powerful synth, and UniFi is kind of this host to let you do more with what you have. We've built some MIDI effects like MIDI box, which plays MIDI files. Here, I'll do one more quick little demo to show you guys something that's cool. We did a really fun thing with this Spitfire audio it's called Discover Station. I have the Core Station version loaded because I have upgraded from Discover version of the BBC Symphony Orchestra to the Core, which has round robins and more samples and stuff like that. Groove, bass, pad, yeah. So if you go down here to string to start with, if you're familiar with the Spitfire Audio BBC Symphony Orchestra, if we go over here to the longs, they have one section playing a limited part. And sample libraries typically will do this, where the violins are only allowed to play in a certain part of the keyboard range, and the basses in another, and so forth. And so you have to sequence 5 tracks before you get the full orchestra to play. Well, one thing, this automatic thing I saw when this came out was that UniFi can let you play play the whole BBC Symphony string section at once, or the brass section, or the wood section, or all 3 at once. For example, this is 5 for the 5 string sections. If we go down here to orc, here's the orc, the full orchestra longs. This loads up the strings, this loads up the brass, and it loads up the woodwinds so that you can play the. It's still loading some of the samples. So there's the brass, here's the woodwinds for the. So this is 15 BBC Symphony plugins playing. And the most taxed CPU is barely just dance along at nothing. And then it gets really fun when you go to the BPM patches, like BPM string. Let's go to BPM string, just like competitive edge. If I turn off MIDI box, it's the fast strings, the little spiccatos. And then I made a MIDI file going bump, bump, ba, 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 bump, bump, playing a rhythm, one note. So I turn on MIDI box and it's one note. I did octaves. But that's my MIDI sequence, is just one note. And then MIDI box is able to play not only transposing, it can also do it polyphonically. So you can play these sounds in really cool, creative ways. We could go to BPM brass and we could say BPM brass right here. Let's right click on Modern City Life and load that into new UniFi and go down to BPM winds right here. And let's do Going to War. So I'm doing different MIDI files. There's different MIDI files that were for, if I put them all to the same, then they play the sections for doing something, but you don't have to. This is playing winds, brass, and strings, 3 different MIDI files playing 3 different rhythms. So you can do fun stuff like that. It's really cool. Let's see. Yep. Yes, we need mega CPUs, no doubt. They're getting there. I mean, what they're doing, and Windows is going to be following closely behind Apple with what they're doing with integrating the memory and the CPUs and everything to share super, super fast bandwidth. It makes for very fast computers when you do that. So CPU cores and memory. Memory is still important, but those are the 2 most important things when you're buying a new computer. Anyway, so yes, we can do multi-timbral. We can do all sorts of crazy things with samples that in some countries are illegal. But we have a really good time with all that kind of stuff. So what guys, I had a question for you. What kind of Behemoth sound should we make together? So we have about 45 minutes. And so let's try to put something together takes more than 45 minutes to make one of these typically, but we'll do kind of a fast version to see if we can't. But should we do a lead? Should we do a bass? Should we do another big epic pad with cool motion? Should we do a special effect weird thing? What do you guys, let me see some suggestions in chat and we'll see if we can get a consensus of what we should be trying to create. Special effects, pad, and lead. Okay, I need more voices. More voices. Motion, motion. Oh, I like that. A space piano. Ooh. One question, 10 answers. Yes. So the BPM comes later. The BPM is something that I will do in the programming stage because then I can use MIDI box, I can use LFOs. If I'm using a BPM kind of thing in the samples, when I sample it, they're going to speed up and slow down. So like something like this, I can turn this into an epic BPM thing just by going like this and let's calling up a side preset like one of these rad rhythms or something like that. Let's hit this like this and like. You know, I can make BPM stuff after the fact. And then it will be synced with your computers no matter what notes you play. If I put the BPM components into the samples, it's going to go all over the place in tempo. But motion is a really cool thing to have. Okay, so I see a lot of Cosmos, ambient. Let's do a pad with motion. Yeah, as Shane, by the way, everybody shout out to Shane. Put out a shout out because my brother is doing some great things. Out to Shane. There's a ton of videos, Tom, that I have done on this website, on the Plugin Guru website. If you look at the channel, there's a lot of support videos. There's a 6 lessons video tutorial I just released with 6 targeted, I want to do this, and I show you how to do it a couple different ways. The first half of most of those lessons are in this video series as well. So shout out to Shane. We're working on UniFi too, and I can't show you yet, but he's doing some of the coolest. You guys have no idea how cool. You think this is cool? It's getting even better. It's going to be just the luxury of how it's coming is just incredible. So it will be. We're looking at the end of the year probably, like maybe, but it's taking some really huge leaps in really exciting directions. So. Yay to Shane, because this is all, I came to him with the idea and I'm kind of the quality control. Yes, no, I like that. I don't like that. And he respects that from me because of my experience. But every piece of code in UniFi was written by our brother Shane. I can't write code. So it's my ideas, his implementation with his ideas. And then our energy, our synergy of what we've been having some just wonderful Skype talks and doing some things that I get goose pimples thinking about what we're doing. So I can't wait. It's really cool. So we're doing some fun stuff. So yeah, keep it up. My brother from another mother. So let's go for epic motion. Let's do this. We're going to have UniFi go away for now on this front. And we're going to switch over to, I build all these things usually inside of Logic. I've been doing this for 30 years. So I'm so comfortable working this way. In fact, I'm going to load up one of the patches that I did. Let's say, let's do Swarmas. Don't close. I need to get a MIDI file from the MIDI track because I do this setup where I build these. Here, that's all I want from this. I'm not going to go any farther into that. And then paste that here, because this is the notes that I have it play to make the sample map. And I don't know why it's, oh, the track layer's muted. Okay. So we got to decide what we want to do for the sound. And I'm just going to throw stuff at the wall. And, you know, typically, like I said, these take a half a day easily or more to make one of these. So I'm not going to get to the level of what you've been hearing. I might, because, you know, sometimes things go really quick and it's really, really fun. Let's do this. Let's use a wave station to start with, because the wave station just has, it's the king of motion. And so let's take something from here. Let me look around here for one that I might want to work with. Not quite. Maybe we'll do 20th century, 21st century, because we're in the 21st century now. But let's edit this some. I want to modify it. So we want to go... I haven't used this editor in so long. Edit. So this is one patch. My friend Ben Dowling created this. And it's just a lovely thing. If we want to get into the patch, we can see the different sounds. It's using vector for the envelope for controlling volume. Maybe instead of this voices, let's use something else. So if we go... Let's see, where do I get to the two? I have to... I don't want to spend too much time in the weeds. There we go. Let's use the choir. That gives us a little bit more of that universe kind of vibe. And I need to jazz this up a little bit. I'm going to put a decapitator on it. This is a really cool effect from Sound Toys. You can get some really cool. Let's. And then after this, let's get something that will give me some air. Maybe a linear phase EQ. So we got that noise, we got some stuff going on. So there's one layer, and so Command D to duplicate. Let's turn these guys off to start with. And on the second layer, let's not use a wave station. Let's use a synth that just sounds so great when sampling is Zebra. Let's use Zebra 2. This is a synth that has some incredible presets. Howard Scar is a wonderful, super program of just... That's kind of a cool motion thing. Let's see what's doing. It's got a filter doing some phaser things here. Let's emphasize that a little bit more. Now let's combine that with the wave station. So turn on the record button. That works. And let's duplicate this. Let me see. Do I want add? Let's go over here. Turn that off. Get back here for a second. Do I need any sizzle? Do you need some sizzle on your bacon today, sir? Maybe a little bit, without, with. There's 5 different types of distortion. And remember, when you're sampling, it's only one note. So you have to remember, sometimes when you're playing chords and you're judging distortion and stuff, that's not fair because you're going to just play one note and have it sample that, right? That's kind of cool. And then let's see what else we can add. Let's go to another synth that I love very much. And I actually contacted, where is it at? Rhizomatic. I contacted Brian. I was like, hey, so I'm working on a new library. Do you mind if I sample Plasmonic? And he's like, no, all you want, go for it. So we have his blessing. And this is another synth that has, it can do some really cool motion things. So let's go down to the pads and just see what we find. That might be kind of cool. Let's get the air to be a little bit higher. Let's see how that blends with everybody else. So we're going to turn on all 3 layers. Now, it's not fair to play chords, but you kind of have to... I think I want the envelope of this to be different, so let's... I want it to be more there. There. Let's look at our filtering. He's using a ladder. Let's see if there's anything else we can... He's going into the resonator. I'm not hearing much change here. Wow. Like everything's coming from this oscillator right here. Maybe I want a different tonality. That's nice. A bit better, fits in, I think, a little bit. Now that portamento effect, this is probably one that if I want to have that portamento, I have to do it as a separate layer to do that stuff. Yeah, don't talk too much about synesthesia yet because that's not out. That Brian is working on an audio effect, which is taking these resonators and this effect section and turning it into something super cool. But we really can't talk about that yet, Daniela. We should be quiet. It's still in the development phase and it's super cool. Okay, well, let's just sample this to see what we've got. So I'm gonna hold down Shift and Option to make aliases, which means if I change anything to this master layer, it's going to change on the following players. Let me listen to it real quick. This is what we'll be sampling. So I want to listen to just make sure. Yeah, we're working on a new library. It's called Behemoth. And we've made a sound that's got a cool evolving element to it. And I'm making sure I have enough space between them. What I might do is go here to the gate time and make it maybe 88%. So it stops just a little bit slower, a little sooner. I'm hearing a sub-os in there somewhere. Let me see something. That's okay. Huh. Just the way it blends, I guess. Well, I like this. Let's take a stab at this and see what we get. So on the output, I do one more thing to juice it just a little bit. There's a company called Cradle that has a thing called God Particle. It's a rather presumptuous name, but it does a really nice, I tend to turn down the input just a little bit. I don't have a limit quite so hard, and maybe about 80%, and I want a little bit more air, like about 2 dB and 1 dB of bass, and down a half dB. Here's without. Let's see if we go over here and say bypass here. Here's with. It just juices things a little bit. It does this really great gluing. It's a really great mixing tool for, I've used this on songs just as the only mix element that I need in some cases. I'm gonna do just a bounce off time. I'm not gonna do, usually I do real time and I go do something in my house, but because you guys are all watching, I don't wanna sit here for 5 minutes while it does it. So let's call this pad Cosmos Alive, because we're doing it in a live stream, okay? And so we'll call this the full mix. And it's doing it. So it's playing and merging all these and turning them into a stereo 24-bit 48 kilohertz audio file that will be right here. And then I'll show you the next steps that we do. These are the steps that I do for every sample of every library that I've ever made. It's pretty much this process has been the same for 30 years, maybe more. Even for Korg, for the T-Series, Kronos, Oasis, all those things. When we would have time to build samples, and we go to Japan, and we would all bring this is way before the internet took off. We would bring our little collection of samples and we would put them together and then pick out what we wanted inside of a synthesizer for Korg to release. This is how I built samples then. And then what I do, I drag this sound back into Logic, and there it is now as audio instead of as MIDI. And let's mute these tracks so that they don't play. And instead we could play, and let's turn off God Particle because we don't need to hear that now. And there's our samples. Now, it doesn't totally fade to zero, so I would go back after the live stream probably and redo this so that because I want them to fade to zero. I don't want any residual tone and pitch from the previous samples being put into the next pitch. But in this case, because we are live, I'm not going to worry about it. So I'm going to use a tool inside of Logic called Strip, which allows me to make separate regions quickly based on the sound. It's going to chop off the tail. I don't want the tail anyhow because I'm going to be looping these, right? And the beginning, I want like maybe 10 of a second. I say, okay. And now we have these. So then I go through each one and I use this tool. And this will be really exciting. Oh, see, so it messed up and I don't need that. So we can just look at it real quickly. There's a couple other places where it kept regions that I don't need. There's another one. I'm doing this really, really fast just because we are in a live situation. So then I name these, and I have to add the pitch to the end of the samples. So C0, C1. Then this map that I'm doing is a minor 7th of C map. So that means it goes D sharp 1, and then it goes G1, G1, and then A sharp 1. Those are the 4 notes that I sample, A sharp 1. So if we heard these, you would hear, those are the 4 notes of a C minor 7 chord. But it also equals pretty decent spacing on the keyboard. So now C2, and then we got to go D sharp 2. It's all this stuff I do by hand. I don't do automation for this. I love this part. This is kind of like if I was in Italy making clay, or a painter, or someone working with a wheel doing pottery. This is part of that process, and I either myself or I hire Taylor, my assistant, that helps you guys if you have technical support questions. He also is someone that I trust to work on my samples and do the work for me and help me out. A sharp 2, C3. I do everything by hand, and I prefer it that way, and will, even with AI tools, and if there's a robot that could sit in the corner and do it for me, I don't think I would. I still, this is this part that I love, because I'm not going to be able to think straight from doing this. Right? C3, D sharp 3, G3, G3. I used to have A sharp 3, C4. I used to have this Sony or Canon camera, C4. Is that right? Yep, that's C. C, D sharp 4. The 10D is the first Canon digital camera that was affordable that came out. G4, trying to do two things at once always gets me in trouble. So D sharp 4, G4, and then A sharp 4. And I would go to these really cool places and take pictures. And let's see, let's go to, where is it? Flickr. I'll show you my work real quick. See if I can go to here, here, here. But I would come home from these incredible places with photos, and I could kind of get an idea of what I had from the back of the camera. But I didn't know until I actually got home what I had. And remind me later, go away. So if I go all the way back here to like way, way, way back into like the early days, here's some of my photos. And these photos, I would not know what I really had until I got home and was able to load it up and see it on the computer. And that's kind of how I treat my sample process. Is I make these sounds that that sounds promising, that sounds cool, but I don't know for sure until I actually put it into the sampler and play the samples. Only then do I know what I really have. And I love that process, and I love how that works. So now that I have the samples as regions inside of Logic, they have this export regions as audio files. So I'm going to go to Unify, to the libraries, to Behemoth, to samples. I navigate all the way down to the samples folder, and this we called Cosmos Alive. So we say, give me a new folder to put these in, because each set of samples gets its own folder. Alive. And then I say, boom. And just like that, it goes through and it spits out each of these samples with the sample name that I have. That's why I renamed these in here. It's far faster than doing it on your desktop, for me, to name them. So now we can go back to, well, we can't do it yet. We have, now that we have the samples, we have to make something Unify can do with those samples. So we go to Unify, to Behemoth, samples, we go all the way down here to the samples folder, to Cosmos Alive, and there are our samples that we made. And then I've told you guys numerous times about Bjorn's sample mapper. Wonderful little sample tool that as long as you have the sample names as the last thing in the name of each sample, right? The pitch. If I drag this up here and I say root key from name and import, just like that, it puts them under the sample map. It does a nice job. I can go save as, I can name it pad alive, and I'm saving it already because I've been saving everything else into the Behemoth folder. So by doing that, I now have, let's get these guys so you don't see them. Let's go to here to a pad like Swarmus, and it's, okay. Now if we go to Guru Sampler and we look at our list in pads, pad, Cosmos Alive. There it is. So here it is. I'm getting goose pimples. Yeah. Nice. Nice. You guys have really good tastes. There you go. So, and I'll pull each of the elements out as a separate so you can now, if we want this to BPM, right? All we need to do is go hertz. Let's say we do the saw down to start with. Actually, let's go custom so we can change it as we want. And filter cutoff and this also have it also do a cool fade up in volume and filtering. And if we want to get more complex, then we go in here, we could choose all sorts of different presets and patterns. And we could go over here to recycle. Let's go over here and see how this works with the drum group. So we're going to say load just instrument 1. And let's say Savant Scope. Savant has a swing to it. Let's see, we're at 73 beats per minute, so we go faster. And let's go to Groove Sampler and take this down to half notes, and then. Works. So the BPM you add later, you do that after you've made the samples, because the samples, if you try to put rhythmic stuff in it, it's gonna fall all apart. But the stuff like rhythm and stuff you can add after the fact with what you do here. So that's nice. I like this. Hi, Jurgen. Nice to see you too. Welcome. So here, let me keep the filter wide open for the start of this for saving. And after the live stream, I will pull out all the elements and stuff like that. But let's go pad, save, Cosmos Alive. Now the last step, I'll show you the last step. Lovely Atmosphere, A-T-M-O-S-P. You're right. I'm not going to spell it right because I'm typing fast. Atmospheric pad made during the June 8th live stream. Save as, and there. Now, the last thing we could do, if we wanted, let me show you really quickly, the other tool that Bjorn made that is, I've never met this guy, but I would buy him a beer and give him a hug because these tools are just incredible. So if we go back to our folder of samples, let me check, let me put one in here and make sure that you can hear this. Let's go, well here, I can see this from, if I go to OBS for a second, let me see here, see the levels. If I play this, yeah, you hear it. So this is called Endless Wave, and it is a looping tool that is free that has the best looping of anything I have found short of KeyMap Pro, which I have on a computer, not even set up, but I don't need to. It used to be that for all my looping, I use KeyMap Pro. Apple bought them. It was a sad day. I'm very happy for Andreas. A lot of the tools and the amazing things he put in KeyMap Pro are now part of Apple's OS. I mean, it's the coolest. One of the things well, I'm not going to talk about it. But anyway, so all you have to do is hold down Shift and go like this to create the loop and endpoints and go like this to do a crossfade. I like to use the equal power over here. And let's see how this sounds. Yeah, it just automatically, if you were to use like normal crossfade, like most crossfade tools, hear that frequency shift, how it cancels. You can even see in the waveform how it condenses and like collapses it, different amounts. Yeah, that's horrible, horrible. But there's this couple. There's the equal exponential curve is great, and then he has a special one which does. Sometimes the exponential actually works really good to keep the. I'm looking for what keeps the energy consistent. And I also, there's that motion in the sound, right? I want to make sure that I respect that and that I play that. So the top is right there. Yeah, I don't want to do it. I want to be back here a little bit farther. So I try to get a little bit of that motion. It takes, this is one that would take a while to do because I want to make sure that I get the motion that's happening in the filtering of that one Zebra 2 patch. I want to make sure that stays. Yeah, see that not going to work. So go a little bit earlier, go a little bit earlier here. Because I don't want it to drop out where the note stopped. No, that's not it. See, it goes up and then it starts up again. So we need to be a little bit later. It's just up a little bit too long, so it's a little shorter. There we go. See how it now has. It sounds very organic and natural. So all you do is you hold down Command-Shift-K or in, and you say save, and it will automatically truncate out the last of the sample and embed this loop into the sample, load the next sample so I can do the same thing again. So about right here is the cycle. That's what I want. I want to have it be that. So Command-Shift-N. And you just go down the list. I'm not going to do this to every sample. I'm just going to get a little bit more. I showed you how picky I am. Right now, I'm not going to be picky just so I can show you this quickly. In fact, he has tools in here that you can say, search, and it will find where the perfect loop points are for based on the content. Command Shift in, save, yes. So after you've done this, after you've gotten your crossfade loops, I don't even need to play these because with this much loop with that equal power, it's going to be pretty nice. I can just go like this, this, this. I have to do this to all 17 or however many samples it was, right? So again, I'm going to redo this. So this is not perfection, and it's not needing to be perfection right now. But I want to show you what we do next, because there's one more important step you must do. If you want, anybody can do this. You can make your own samples, make your own beautiful combinations of sounds. Try not to make it an automatic process. Some of these plugins let you just push a button and it will, like, you know, automatically do it. But put some, like, finding the frequencies that work together that create something interesting. It can be a really fun process to create. But now that we've got it, where are we at? We're at D sharp 3, so we're getting there. Once you've done this to all the samples and they're all looped, right? And again, I'm not listening and respecting where I want to put the loop points like I would normally would, just because we only have 10 minutes left in the live stream. But I want to get through all of these. G is the last one, I believe. So we go like this. Oh. There, we're done. Okay, so we now have every single one of these. If we go, I think previous, it will load up the previous one. So you can load up the previous files in the folder. It will do all this really nice navigating. So you can go previous, if you hold down Shift, Command, or I think it's Command. Yeah, I think it's also on the PC too. But you can cycle through the files and make sure they're all looped. So they're all looped, right? So now we need to go back. We need to go one level up inside of here to this folder where we have, where is it at? Pad, Cosmos Alive. So we need to go back and call back up one more time Bjorn's sample mapper, say new, say yes, then drag this SFZ over and it will load it. But you have to go down here to the load button. We need to update it because we've looped it. It didn't have looping information, and if I don't update it with this, then the loops will not be embedded. The information for where to start the loop, where to end the loop, will not be put into the files. But if you say update all files in the groups, if you've made a more complex map, you could say all groups. Either one doesn't matter. Update, and then save it again. And just by doing that, now when I go over here, and I go back to Behemoth, come here, Behemoth, and we go to pads and we go to Cosmos Alive, and I play this as a single instrument by itself, please. It is now playing with loops. Oh, you have to make sure your envelopes keep sustaining out. There. Now it loops forever. So that's the steps required. You have to make the sound, carefully sample the sound, respecting that you let it go all the way to silence before the next notes play. Make sure you have nice attacks. If you have to put a little fade at the beginning of the sample so you don't have DC clicks. Then you have to name the samples, you have to export them, you have to put them into a sample map and play them and loop them and make a pat. It's a lot of work. It's an awful lot of work. But I love the work. It's what I love to do. So that's how you build sounds. And we made something really cool. This came out very cool. Oh, and I was going to show you one more thing, not with this sound, but on a whole different subject. So that's any questions. Let me pop up. So if you guys have any questions, You earn your money for those libraries. I do. I work hard. Thank you. Yes, soon. Huge summertime, but it's now heavy rain weather, so it's cold too. Yeah, cool. Yeah, the crossfade inside of Endless Wave. If you don't have these tools, let me tell you how to get them really quick. That's BJOERNBAJHAR. Let's see if I can find him. Let's see, sample, let's see. Here is his website. For those of you that don't know, I talk about this guy all the time. Never met him, but bjornbahar.de is his website. If you go to the start, and from here, he has filtered. Oh, okay. He has 3 different applications. He used to do audio CDs for the computer music magazines out of Germany. He was the guy that would edit the content for those CDs. And so he needed these tools for himself, so he wrote them. We've talked to him about trying to see if we could use them to make something for the Plugin Guru name, make them separate, but they're in BASIC. And so they're in a hard to like dual platform and all that kind of stuff. But they're cool tools that he has made. This one over here, Session 2 Wave, will take an audio file and do like the split silence that I did. You have less control, but it works in a lot of cases. If you want to get samples pulled out, it can automatically name them to a certain extent. Then here's the sample mapper, and you just click it for downloading it. And then here is Endless Wave, and it's just a wonderful tool. These different crossfade options, make sure you use one of the last 2 or the best ones. They're great. They're great. So on a different front, so my sound in my room is really nice. There's a little life still. I've got some really cool panels to put on the walls that are coming pretty soon. Probably after my next paycheck. I've got to be careful with my money. But I want to show you really quickly what I did. These are curtains on the walls. It's not showing them. Oh, here they are, but they didn't make it over. Did this go to sleep or something? Hold on a second. Let me try one more time. Select. I thought it sent them, but there they are. Okay, so let's get these ghost files and get rid of those. Okay, continue, apply to all, continue, whatever. So check this out. If I can show you. Here's like from the kitchen looking into this area. If I didn't have these up, the sound just travels out and it comes back. It's just very echoey. This removes the sound of the refrigerator, a lot of it from here. And the way that I did it is it's actually 2 layers of curtains. And it's a very heavy duty 3-layer, 1 layer is felt curtains. And so I'm using shower rods, the pressure rods you can twist. They're great. They just push up against the sides of the walls. If you need to kill the sound from something, if you want to isolate or deaden a room a little bit, putting these up is a great, not that expensive option to work with. And here's from inside the studio. They just got hung, so they're not perfectly, they're not without their little crinkles and stuff. Then the back of the studio, I have these dual curtains. And if you open up one side, you'll see it's the bigger curtain rods that stretch farther across, but it's just a single rod. And they look great from the outside. And then this is my cute little moose. This means I'm in Idaho for sure, because I got myself a moose made out of horseshoes that holds things on the wall. But here, check this out. I'll go out and open the curtain so you can see. It's really cool. Let's see. Unplug this. So they're probably deadening it some, but you hear all that extra. That's because it's going out into the living room and the dining room and all that stuff. It's not stopped. Now, if I go over here and close them, and now clap. Now I just have to deal with this room with there's some pinging and stuff. I need to do some energy loss on the walls, stuff like that. But I can manage this a lot better than I could with, it would just go forever and ever when there was nothing on the walls. So great thing. You can find them on Amazon. I'll put maybe a link after the video. I'll post the link to the ones I have if you guys are interested. But the curtains are a great thing for putting on walls that you need to remove the reflections because it's going into them and then it can't come out. So, oh, it sounds totally metallic. Well, that's just because I'm in a smaller room now where I have to deal with the room without the rest of the house. So, you know, I'll keep working on it. This room is not done at all. There's nothing on the walls over here. There's a lot of places I need to improve on things. Get something on the ceiling too, because there's bounce back between here and I've got a thing for my chair. So it's definitely not perfect, but it's better than it was. So, yeah, once you soften the walls, it will be better. Yeah, it'll get better. So thank you for joining us. Let's do shout outs because I want to know where everybody's at in the world. That's one thing we do at the end of all of our live streams. So shout out from Eagle, Idaho. I'm in Idaho. Still can't believe that. But the main reason I'm here is because my mom and dad are an hour away. So like I get to go see them a whole bunch and spend time with them. They have surgeries coming up, all sorts of things. And so I'm here to be around them. So I'll be in other places in the near future. Don't worry. There's all sorts of places I'm planning to go. So let's see, where are we at? Norway, of course. Helsinki, Wisconsin, Canada. Good to see you. Northwood. Right on, dude. New Jersey, Ottawa, Canada, Germany, Kosaka-san, of course, in Japan. Arigatou gozaimashita. Domo. Amsterdam's in the house. Right on, Lafa. How do I say that? Lava. Okay, cool. In Germany, Poland. Isn't it cool that we can just all hang out, talk about sounds? Oh, you did not play again to compare original with the sample. Oh, you want to hear? We can compare. So let's do this. Let's get back to UniFi, and I'm going to quit UniFi. And let's go back to Logic, where this project file is. And let's go to a new instrument. So we say plus, give me an instrument. Give me UniFi, which isn't in the list right now. So we go down here to Plugin Guru, UniFi, and let's go here to Behemoth, Cosmos Alive. Let's mute this and let's unmute these guys. So it's cleaner because I was designing up here. This is set up because I'm playing one note to sample. So there's things that I'm doing in my mix choices to optimize just for one note. I would change things. Decapitator settings and stuff would be different if I was trying to play chords. But because I'm not playing chords that... So it's cleaner, but it's there. That's really cool, you know. Let's go over here and do the same. Now there's one sound here. Let's see who is. Yeah, this. So if we go to plasmonic, let's see if I can find the setting for glide. I might not be able to find it quickly. I'm not sure where I would find glide settings. Files, tuning, MIDI voices. But I would turn that off if I was trying to sample. There's some things where it gives a little pitchy G, which I think it's set to where you have to play other notes to get the pitchy G to work. But anyway, there's somewhere in here you could turn that off if you wanted to sample it to be a little bit cleaner, to hear what it sounds like without that. Oh, what did I do? Gotta have MIDI to. So the essence is there. It definitely worked. Keep running. All right. Well, I think we will call a. Yes, if you have questions, Shane watches the forums like a hawk, and it's a great place for community communications and stuff like that. And that's found at forums.plugandguru.com. So feel free to come here if you have specific questions that you wish to have answered by Shane, and he will help you. And if you have specific email tech questions you want, you can send them to unifysupport@plugandguru.com. We are here to help either way. We do this every week as just communication to keep in touch with all of you. We value our relationship. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe. I just hit like 43,800 subscribers or something like that. It's awesome. So, right. Yeah. Shane and Taylor are in two different states and different countries, actually, because Shane's in Canada and Taylor is up in the Portland, Oregon area where I was a month ago. Now I'm not. So staying into the brass problem I sent in. Okay. Yeah. So Lanita, please follow up with Taylor. And if and it's not fixed yet. Okay. Yeah. Let us know what that brass problem is, or bass problem. All right. Thank you all for joining. It's been fun. We do this every Saturday, so we will see you next Saturday. Be creative. Have a great week. Again, what is it? Save $20. Thank you is a promo code at the website to save you $20 off any libraries you want to buy this weekend. I'm not publishing this big to everywhere on public forums except for the newsletter and just mentioning it to you here in the live stream. So it's kind of just an in-house special. So if you want to take advantage, please do so. And we'll see you next week. And if you have questions, contact us. And thank you all.